Okay, now question number 7. Number of calories contained in a selection of fast food sandwich is shown here. Estimate the true population mean cost for fast food sandwich within 95% confidence interval. So this is an estimation, so we need to estimate the confidence interval, which that means I need to use the confidence interval Excel worksheet. Now we have z-test, t-test, proportion, sample size, or sample size for proportion. Let's read the problem. Estimate the true population mean. True population mean. So I go back to my formula worksheet. So I need to delete, close this. I don't need this anymore. Well, then maybe I keep this open. So I need this confidence interval. So since the problem says the mean, so we cannot use proportion, so we are not looking for the sample size, so either z or t, z-test or t-test. Now let's go back and read the problem. So is this going to be a z or t? So we have 27 sample. So in order to do z-test, it should be more than 30, and we need to know the standard deviation of population. So we don't know any of this. So in this case, I need to use the t-test. So before I use the t-test, I need to copy this data. So let's go back to the t-test. So I decide the t-test because I'm looking for the mean, and my sample size is less than 30, and I don't know the standard deviation of the population. So what I'll do now, I need to know the sample mean. Do you think I can find the sample mean? And then I need the standard deviation of the sample. So let me just copy and paste. So I did copy and paste the sample. So this is my sample. So if I want to find the mean, let me put this here, mean. So I need to highlight my data, highlight the data, and then go to auto sum and take the average. Average means mean. Oops. 1 second. I just made a mistake somewhere. So in order to find, okay, let's go say average. I want the average. So I want the average of this data. So this is 400. So I'm going to move this here. Cut and paste. Oops. I need to cut and paste this. So this, cut and paste here. So I need this. So 464, 444. So sample mean 464.444. So I need the standard deviation. So I do the same thing for standard deviation. Let me put here standard deviation, STDV, DEV, standard deviation. So I go to functions. I need to find STDV, standard deviation function. Click OK and highlight your data. So my data is here. You can use, you can put the data on columns, but this is fine as well. So 130.32. This is the standard deviation I'm getting. Hopefully this is correct. Let me double check. Standard deviation B11, B16, F16. This should be correct. Okay, then I need to go up and change this standard deviation 130.32. 130.32. This is my standard deviation. My sample size is 27. My sample size is 27. And confidence level is 95%, 0.95. So the answer would be 412. We don't want this. So let me, the answer for this confidence is 12.891. This is the lowest, and 515.997. This is the highest. So the confidence interval should be 412.891 to 515.997. This is the confidence interval for 95%, which means 95% sure the calorie number would be between these two numbers. Okay, now let's go to the next problem, is overseas travel. Researchers wish to find 95% confidence that her estimate of the true proportion of individual who travels overseas within 4% of the true proportion. Find the sample necessary. So it says find the sample necessary. So we understand if it says find the sample necessary, or like here, how large should be the sample? How large is the sample? So we are looking for the sample size, right? So sample size. So let's go back, open this thing here. So we are looking for sample size for mean or sample size for proportion. If we take a look one more time, our problem, this is true proportion. So obviously we need to use this second formula, sample size for proportion. For the first problem, there are 200 people show that 400 traveled overseas. So that means I need to take the percentage of 200 over 40 over 200. So 20% of people, it seems, they travel. So I just need to use 20% here. Automatically 80% will go there. So you cannot, I see some people put here 40 and then 200 and put 40 here. That doesn't work this way. It should be P caret. You see, the P caret is the sample proportion. So I need to know this with 95% confidence. So I need to change this 95% confidence, and the error is 0.04. If you read the question, I open the question again, you see the confidence is 95%. Confidence 95%. Within 4% true proportion. That means this is the error flexibility. So it's 4% less, 4% more would be okay. And around sample of 200 people showed 40 traveled. So that means 20% traveled. So then if you go down, so the answer should be 385. We need to round up because we want more, this on the safe side, we need to do like one more people. We can do like with one more people. So let me go back and check the number again. 385. So the second question, if no estimate, remember I said during the lecture, somebody will ask, there is no number here. So if there is no estimate, then we need to use 50%, because 50% times 50% is the highest sample size, which is the best, the highest confidence. So I just need to use 50% if I don't know the numbers. So the answer would be 601, because round up again to be in the more safe spot. So I just go back and write 601. So the answer for this is 601. All right, now next video will be the last two questions, 9, 10.